Hey, welcome back everyone. So today I'm going to show you how to remove your existing roof hatch in your caravan and motorhome and replace it with a Dometic Dust Reduction System, or DRS as they like to call it. As you probably know, this is a unit that provides a positive pressure into the vehicle when it's moving forward or at low speed to pressurise the vehicle and stop dust getting in. We decided to go with this option because we felt it was the best suited to replace an existing vent, and we didn't want to cut a new hole. Whereas other powered options on the market would have to install wiring and other things, and we just didn't feel like that was a good option for us. So in this video we're going to have an unboxing, installation, and at the end we'll sort of discuss about how we went with the installation and any tips and tricks. Stay tuned. Here we have the unboxing of the DRS Dust Reduction System. Comes with a cardboard to get the unit in place. Straight out of the box, here's the unit. It's quite awkward to hold, but we'll get to that in a second. And in the box is a bit more packaging. We have, looks like the inner vent, screws, instruction manual, and some gasket. All right, so you're probably aware the system works with air being pushed into the unit while you drive, and it appears that it goes through this section, back around, forces its way in. The front in the grill here has got a curved closed section, so when you turn it up on the vent, see in the vent, closed section here, air through here, air through here. But what also does have, it seems to have a vent in here, a way for the air to get in to this filter at the front. You can feel it, see it in here. And what it is, I think, is when the vehicle's not moving, air can freely flow in and out of, so you're at least catching a bit of a breeze that you would have once got if you're replacing it with where a vent was. This filter can come out. Just unclipping this, it was a bit hard to get out, so I don't want to sort of wrestle in the unboxing. And then you have the primary filter here for when you're moving, so 2 clips. When it wants to, it just pops open, just like a plastic box. And here's a paper filter, so you'd probably only be able to give this a clean with maybe air. If you try and wash it being cardboard, it's got to fall apart, so you please get a replacement. And as we said, the air comes through here, and you can see it comes back around through this filter and into the cabin. So what must happen is when you are driving, creating that positive pressure, the air that can get in through this vent is the air's pushed that way, because it comes in, stopped, and comes in, and this just doesn't work. It's not mechanical. Looks like it's just literally pressure on the actual unit. It also has this sleeve here. So this piece here around the edge here to put the gasket that we got in the packet. And this will be the roof surface. And then the inner vent here, cover, you can open it to access it, close it, sits on top. Couple screw holes, and obviously dictated by the depth of your roof and the screws. So you can sort of get you a bit of play. Now my plan is when we install it, you have to separate this from the main unit. And this is the piece that goes with the roof. My plan is to put that on the roof, go inside, screw that in lightly, adjust it so I can see if there's any damage. So I'm trying to cover on the inside of the van and make sure obviously I'm covering the hole on the outside. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to trace this edge, maybe with a texture or a pencil, and then I can take that off, and then I can proceed to fix this portion down properly. And then once that's on, you can drop in the main unit and then the vent. So yeah, the unit, look, it's pretty light. It's It's not too bad. It's just awkward, really awkward to hold, but the finish looks good on it. It's all plastic. And yeah, so we're going to do an install. All right, so here we are. We're going to take out this roof vent here. It's quite simple. All you got to do is just pull it down. It's not screwed in, so you can just pop it down like this. And you'll see inside there's this little like clips that engage in these parts. So you can pull that down quite easily for cleaning. And then we're just going to go through and undo, if you can see, I don't know about the light there, but these silver screws all the way around, and undo those. That'll release this down, and we're going to keep going. As you can see, there's the timber frame in this unit here, the whole way around. So one of the reasons we opted not to do a powered unit is we have to drill through there and run wires through the roof, and yeah, decided we'd go with one that we can just change the existing vent, and it's going to be a lot easier. So now we're going to jump up on the roof and have to cut away all the silicon on the roof side of things. And I've got a couple of different tools I'm going to use, and I'm probably going to have to revert to a knife probably just to cut under this, because I expect a lot of silicon. And with the indoor cover, we probably won't be able to, we're going to try and cover all these staple marks, but we won't be able to get right up to this damage here. But that's expected, isn't it? I don't know if you can see me or not, but alright, so we've got this little plastic silicon removal tool, goes in the corners, should hopefully just be able to scratch in and get the bulk amount out. I'll have to revert to a knife to get in right under the roof line, but that's the last resort, because I don't want to damage the roof too much. Also a couple of rags just to sort of clean the dirt and the debris off, but we'll give it a good clean before we get the silicon in. Alright, let's get to it. So it's been about half an hour just been cutting away at the silicon. Now what you need to do now is get a little wedge and drive it in between the roof and the vent to really force it up. So here, the roof, it's keeping the roof membrane down and it's separating the vent. Because you can cut most of the silicon, but it still holds it quite well. And then when you stop, you just put another cut in. Just keep wedging it up, work your way around. Alright, so now we've cleaned the silicon off. See the front, it has marked front. So I'm going to drop this in the hole, and I'm going to go down below and centre it both top and bottom, because as you can see, the size of the hole you're replacing is a lot bigger than the unit itself. So we'll get that centralised down below, and we'll get it covering evenly around here. Put that plate down below, get it all sort of positioned, screwed up. We're going to trace around it, take it off, see where it sits, and then add the silicone and the gasket and fix it in place. Alright, so as you can see, I can centre it better from inside. As you can see, the hole size is a lot different. So I'm going to centre that up, then I'm going to get the cover, put it on. I'll put you down here on the bench and see if you can see what's happening. Alright, centralise the unit. Just going to give it a bit of a mark where I'd like it to go. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of coverage. There's enough anyway for the gasket and additional silicone. So we're going to take that down, the gasket on it, and bring it back up and start to silicone it and gasket it down. Alright, so we've put the gasket all along the unit. At the back we've just done a join there. We had a little bit extra, so we cut it with a pair of scissors. So when it's installed on the roof, any weather's going to hit it for the front, because the sleeve at the top's marked front. And yeah, hopefully that's, we're going to silicone around here anyway, but it's just adds the manual says you don't have to silicone. You can just use the gasket and then silicone the edge, or you can put silicone on the gasket. So more the merrier, I say. So the next step now is to take the actual top part, face it on the ground, on the floor here, screw the base plate into position, because I think they want you to get this on the roof siliconed in place and not be pushing on it to screw each corner in. So we're just going to screw each corner in now. Right, so the base plate's fixed to the unit. We're going to take this on the roof, and we're going to start siliconing it up and putting it in position. Alright, the key to any good silicone job is preparation. Gloves to keep it off your hands, plenty of rags to wipe it up. We're using sticker flex for this one, 221. We're told it's good for adhesiveness and silicone, waterproofing, obviously a caulking gun, and we've got the sealing edges, so rather than using licking your thumb and going across a gap, or the old paddle pop stick, or spraying water on the surface and then trying to rub it off, by spraying water on the surface you're actually creating a path for moisture to get in. So you use these, right? So you'll do your caulking, and then you pick the size you want and you wipe it on. So here it goes. We're going to put our caulking probably on the van, and then we're going to drop the dust reduction system on top and see how it goes. When you actually cut your nozzle, don't just cut it on an angle, you've got to cut it on a back angle, so it gives a spot for the bead to exit the nozzle. So if you just cut it on an angle, there's a tip there onto the surface you're prepping, surface you're siliconing on, so the bead just smushes everywhere. As if you cut a back angle so it ends up like a V, that's going to give you a spot for the bead to roll out the nozzle. traced a line so I can see where I wanted it to be. And I'm going to duck down below to see where it sits. If I'm happy with it, then I'll continue to caulk up, and I'll put the plate in at the bottom, and we should be done. Alright, so we're back inside. We've put the unit on the roof. I'm going to check and see the clearances. I'm going to check and see if the inside grille covers all these like staple marks. It won't go up to this, but I'm not sure. We'll probably just ignore it, see what it looks like in the end. And yeah, so as you can see, when we sort of tilt the camera up, it's a bit hard, it's a bit tight. That you can't see any gasket. So it's definitely, you know, you can't see the gasket. You can see a little bit of silicone coming in some spots. So that said, it'd be nice if the hole that you got for this thing, maybe an adapter plate or something, to really help you out on installs with a smaller or a bigger hole than the unit. But yeah, so I'm going to put the cover on, see how it looks. If it fits up nice and it covers, don't have to move it around anymore, it's perfect. Probably while it's still wet, I haven't done a bead, I can probably put the inside cover in and then just manipulate it right into spot once I'm happy with it. Do it up. It's got some little spaces you gotta, yeah, they want you to add spaces between this unit and the cover until you sort of like keep adding them up until you maybe have like less than 5mm gap, just to pull it up so it doesn't like bend the unit up, it sort of bottoms out. Try and make it look as nice and pretty, as flush as possible. And yeah, if we're happy with that, we're going to put the cover on, leave it on. If we're covering all the staples, then yeah, we'll go back up top, do a final bead, and that's it. Right, it's really hard to give you guys a proper view of what's going on up here, just because it's up here and, you know, caravan, and it's all a bit difficult with. All right, I'll try and give you the best view I can of what's going on here. Just literally just putting the inside cover in, so the filter's out, but the cover has got to go up. Just got to hold it up and see how it looks. Looks pretty good. So as I was saying, we've got little spaces that come with the in the bag of goodies. So all the screws are similar sizes, but there's definitely 4 long ones and 4 shorter ones. So if you've got a obviously a bigger gap, but you can kind of see the difference in length there. And then we get these little spaces, so you just keep adding them and adding them. So they're all about 5mm, and then there's a couple that look like they're 10mm, just an assortment of them. So I guess they're going to want us to hold a screw up and see what we think we need, and then choose the long or the short. So for the Jayco here, it looks like we're going to take the longer ones. So I'm thinking I'm going to just get one in front, one in the back to hold the cover in place, and then add the spaces on the other two, then take 2 out. See how we go. I'll be able to measure the gap with the screw, chuck a couple spaces on. Probably be enough. 3. So it's going to sit like that. Let's get it started. Another 3 on the other side. I really don't want to push up because it's silicone on the roof, so So I've left the filters out so I can reach in to the top, pull down. So I'm going to add another half one. So it looks like it's going to need 3 larger ones and 1 half one. And I'll try and put the camera up at the end and show you. Got another space in the back one. Alright, so it's up. So then you can put the filter in. It's all a bit weird on some side, but we won't do that yet. I was going to show you these spaces. So here are the spaces. So the idea is that when we pull this piece up, they don't want this driving itself into the roof, but they want it, the two things to squeeze tight. because that's helping pull this down. You don't always need silicone on the gasket, right? You can just use the gasket. And it was quite easy to screw because you could get your fingers on this. It's like a hand grip, and you could pull down. And yeah, so they're all pretty good. I might just give them another little touch up shortly. And as you can see, it closes. It's got magnets here and here, so you don't have to unscrew anything, you just pop it down. So we're going to jump back on the roof, do the final bead, and chuck the filters in, and then we're done. Alright, that's install done. So on these units, on this roof particularly, it's a bit wavy, so you can see quite a big gap between where the gasket is, the finished product. So I'm going to go around and beat all that up, silicone it up so it's quite watertight. I'm not going to use my elbows to spread out silicone like a lot of caravan manufacturers out there. I'll try and keep it as neat as possible, although you won't see it on the roof. You know, everyone takes a bit of pride in their work. So we're going to go do a bit of a review on the product and talk about the install, and see you in a sec. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed seeing how we installed this unit onto the roof and replaced the vent. All up, it was a couple of hours, 2 hours. I could do it even quicker if I did it again. The biggest issue was obviously getting the silicone off. It was a good 45 minutes of just cutting around. This Stanley knife works wonders. I can push and it would meet the profile of the roof and be able to slide under the vent. And this little plastic silicone remover tool was fantastic. It's a great way just to get rid of the bulk amounts of silicone, especially in the corners and along the edges, to really then just get the knife under there and unlock it. Adding that with the wedge, as you saw, any wedge, this is about 10mm thick, just to push in and hold the roof lining down while you're trying to pull the vent up. So if you go inside and push the vent up, the whole roof will lift. So you just sort of work your way around and yeah, get in there. Now I know some of you are going to be saying, oh, he's on the roof, can't take your weight. It did. I noticed in the installation videos and the manufacturing videos of our particular Jayco, they had timber beams through the roof, and I could feel them, and I just used a ladder to get up there and just keep my weight there, right back as far towards the edge of the van as I could, and just reach around. Being 6'2", it's sort of easy for me to reach around those areas, but by no means would I want to sit on the roof. I had sort of dreams of maybe coming down like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, hanging on some sort of wire system, or maybe some elaborate scaffold set up on the side of the van or beside the van, or planks across, but it just wasn't going to work. So you just really need to choose what you want to do to get your installation done correctly and safely, of course. If I was to do the installation again, I would potentially consider putting the top plate on, and as you saw, I was going to go down and screw the bottom plate on and sandwich it in, but it was a bit hard, so I actually just got the top plate lined up and just eyed off the bottom plate, and then I went back up, marked it, and then I installed the top section onto the base plate. Now I'd probably try, if I was going to do it again, put the base plate down with this sealant, and then if you're happy, screw the bottom piece on and leave it on, and then it's going to make your life a lot easier to go around and do the caulking around, especially the front, because the front of the unit has a very flat face and the profile of the base plate is right under it. So to get your sealing equipment in there was a bit messy, a bit awkward. The sides and the back were fantastic. You just beat it up, wipe it down, and it was really good. So maybe if I tried again, I would leave the top section off. If possible, I'd have to check how the screws line up. If with the door open to access the filters, that I could get to those screws for the top unit. Yeah, because it was a bit hard. The gasket obviously gave the base, the top plate, sat proud. It was supposed to, because it's a gasket, you had to pull it nice and tight. But I added a bead of silicone around that. The manufacturer said you could. They even added onto the gasket just to keep that water out. But all in all, the process was quite good. I thought it was going to be a bit of a pain, but said 45 minutes to cut the silicone out, maybe another 20 minutes of really just using this scraping tool along the roof. Being it's a fiberglass roof and this is plastic, you could just work your way, really get the bulk amounts of silicone off. And that's what I used to get pretty much all of it off, and then I went around with some silicone cleaner just to give it a good clean. I don't really want to say, you're probably best to check with the manufacturer of your van if you can use those products on your van. So, you know, always when you're using chemicals and that kind of stuff on products, you want to try it in a small spot or check that it's compatible. There's no way I don't want to be responsible if you use something I used here and it's not compatible with your van or RV and damage the roof. The product itself seems to work great. As I said, it's got a little bit of fresh air vent there that just lets the air sort of flow in and out. You can put a locking plate in there to cover the whole thing so it stops air coming in and out at all. And then when you start traveling with that locking plate out, looks like the positive pressure stops that fresh air just draft coming in and out. Would I buy the product again? Yeah, I would. If I was getting a new van, would I get it fitted? I don't think if I had the option to go a motorised one, I think I'd step it up to a motorised one. But like all vans, you really want to go through and do some dust sealing in all those spots. You know, we'll probably put a video on showing what we did. But the vents on the outside of, especially a three-way fridge, it's always a bit of a pain. A lot of people have methods to try and seal the dust from that. We think we're still going to do that. But if we upgrade the fridge, we'd probably, or a new van, would look at maybe having some permanent hatches there that we can then unlock and open when we are pulled up, but closed for transport. So as always, guys, it's been fantastic that you are tuned in and watched the video. Definitely give us a like, give us a subscribe, check out our other videos here, and we'll see you around.